goals and those things are all billionaire and corporate driven. So how do we as the people take back power?
Mhm.
And that's when I got involved in Indivisible.
Welcome, everyone. This is Nick Allen with Better Together. We are very excited to invite Mallory Martin on. Mallory has been organizing with Indivisible, and we're happy to hear her story. Mallory, welcome to Better Together.
Thank you so much, Nick, for having us on.
Yeah, so I know you are co-chair of Indivisible, and your partner Raquel was not able to join us today, but we're hopeful to have her on at some point as well. But we got you, and we're so excited. Can you just tell us a bit of your personal history in the West Slope and just kind of how you've gotten involved over the years?
Yeah, sure. So I was born in Denver, but I my family moved to the West Slope when I was 4. So my mom and dad lived in Rifle for a while, and then my
Mhm.
mom decided that she wanted to go back to school to be a teacher. And when she decided that, she applied at Mesa. And my dad was a construction worker. He owned a construction company and sort of traveled all over anyway. And so it worked out for them to make their base in Palisade, actually. And my mom went to Mesa and got her bachelor's for education. And then I went to Taylor Elementary and Mount Garfield Middle School and graduated from Palisade High School.
Awesome.
From there, after I graduated, I decided that I wanted to be an engineer
Mhm.
and went to CSU for a little while. And as I was kind of processing what my life would look like with that as a career, I I was like, oh, I this is a lot of math.
Yeah,
and
I know that feeling.
and kind of realized some things about myself that I really wanted to help people. My goal was a civil engineer with a sort of a environmental um,
Aspect.
minor,
Yeah. Okay.
science. They didn't have that as a minor at the
Mhm.
time. It was a long time ago.
Sure.
So, um, but that was kind of my goal, is to help our environment through civil engineering. But then I realized that it would be like that I had a heart for a different skill set of things, and I left college with the idea that I was going to just like see what was out there, do some
Mhm.
different things. I worked for a construction company driving a water truck. I did some like nursing stuff. I worked in a school for a little while. And then I took a job providing services. This was in 2001 through the state. I took a job providing services to adults with developmental disabilities. And I fell in love with it. I've been doing it ever since. I moved up through management in that area, got training for management in that area. And then in 2018, I started my own business here in Western Colorado, moved back from Denver to the Western Slope, started my own business, and that's what I've been doing since.
Yeah, that's so cool. I mean, that's quite a journey, and so many people that I've recognized over the years on the West Slope, go out, explore the world, and then come back and want to give back to the place that really helped raise them. So excited to have you here and or back, and yeah, wanted to hear more about, especially around Indivisible. So Indivisible Grand Junction. Can you kind of talk a bit about like how this whole thing works? There's a lot of questions around it's Indivisible. So when did you get involved, and what did you get involved in when you did?
Okay. Yeah. So I've always been somewhat, I'm a registered Democrat. I've been a
Hmm.
registered Democrat for a long time, and I've been somewhat involved politically. Um, I would volunteer for things when I had time and stuff like that, but I was raising 2 kids, starting my own business. So um, I really got involved the most, I would say, starting in January.
Okay. Of this
Um,
past January.
yeah.
Okay.
So I was involved here and there, but I wasn't heavily involved. So the Trump inauguration, watched the Trump inauguration, saw the just a really heavily stacked corporate backers that he
Mm-hmm.
has. And that was a moment in time that really changed how I think about getting involved.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was involved ish, but I wasn't heavily involved because I guess I've felt like someone else was doing this work.
Right.
Somebody else was carrying this. And then I think that when I saw, the Mark Zuckerbergs and Jeff
Jeff
Bezos and
Bezos,
all
yeah.
of those people just flanking Trump at the inauguration,
Right.
it really hit home for me that it's going to take all of us
Mm.
to steer our country back to the course that it needs to be on for a healthy working class.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's
So,
talk I want to jump back to Indivisible, but like what do you see that healthy course being? What do you think is involved in that? And how does Indivisible part of setting that course for getting people back to their rightful
yeah,
place in power?
I mean, I feel like the bringing people together over conversations, bringing
Hmm.
people together to realize that we all have the same common goals. Not all of us, but the
Right.
majority of us really want to be able to work for a better life.
Hmm.
We want the American dream. We want
Hmm.
health and happiness and safety for our families, and those are the things that we really want. And so my evolution into this was this realization that it's going to take all of us. And then I went into the Democrats office here in Mesa County, and they were wonderful,
Hmm.
but the work that I saw being done there, I thought was what we're seeing with MAGA. I thought it was like top down leadership. It was like there was
Mm.
a plan. I was like, okay, I'm coming in. I'm going to be one of the people and I'm going to like be part of this plan, you know? And I soon realized that it was like, they were pretty transparent about that this time right after inauguration, after election, and then inauguration was their time to rebuild
Mm.
and structure.
Hmm.
They were doing their elections, they were in this process, so they didn't really have any answers for me.
Mm. Hmm.
um and other than, we're kind of seeing what national says, but for the most part, each county, it feels like, is structured a little bit by the goals of the state or by national, but they're really working hard on the county plans. And they're
Definitely.
it's not unified over the United States. Like we're seeing from Republicans this very unified plan. They're all behind it, they're all working toward it, and it's nationwide. They're working on getting school board people elected. They're working on just even at very local levels, they're
Hmm.
all working on the same plan. And so I was like, okay, so that's what I think is going to work. That's what I think it's going to take for but they're very corporate, right? Like MAGA, and it's all very billionaire
Hmm.
driven. That
Hmm.
those goals and those things are all billionaire and corporate driven. So how do we as the people take back power?
Hmm.
And that's when I got involved in Indivisible. Indivisible's um, are, I think that this last protest, we had 2,700 protests nation and worldwide, and they're all working on a common goal that we get from the top.
Right.
From Leah and Ezra started Indivisible during the first Trump administration, and our local Indivisible Grand Junction also started in 2016 from
Hmm.
great people who started it. And so, like, Indivisible, the structure of it, plus the fact that it is Democrat, Independent, and some Republicans
Hmm.
increasingly,
Hmm.
um, feels very much like what we need to move forward. We all need to be working on a common goal, and that goal is rights for workers, healthcare for people, supporting what it takes to move from poverty into working class and middle class. And um, it feels like there are an entire community of people nationwide that are working toward that one goal.
So you were really coming in and looking to just like, I'm ready to be boots on the ground. I'm ready to do this thing. Like, let's go. There's no time to waste. And it was like, well, we have a party structure at the Democratic Party. We have to follow some of these procedures. And it was like, you recognize that, and oh, here's this opportunity with Indivisible that's like, okay, we are ready to go. We want to
Yes.
make direct action and do this thing. And so how did you find Indivisible in the first place? How did you like introduce yourself? Well, this is in part for just how Better Together operates. We want folks to know these levers that they can pull and ways they can get engaged. So, yeah, how did you start really getting into Indivisible itself?
I mean, I had known about Indivisible nationally for a
Hmm.
long time.
Hmm.
The way that I really got involved in Indivisible locally is the open town hall that they held for Jeff Hurd that he didn't show up for.
Right, I do remember that.
Yeah, and that was put on by I believe Montrose County Indivisible Grand Junction, and then Mountain Action Indivisible, which is out of the Roaring Fork Valley, Glenwood, up to Aspen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was those three worked together on that. So that was the first time that I had anything to do with an Indivisible. And I went to that, and it was very well structured. It was very well supported and attended. I think the church that they held that in was packed,
Yeah.
overflowing with people. Um, and so that was really the first thing. And then there was, this, we had some protests. There was the protest, in front of City Hall that was the Not My President's Day protest. There was a Women's Day one, and then for International Women's Day, there was a push in the community and an ask from the community, I guess, of like, okay, we want to do this protest, but who's going to lead it?
Hmm.
And Raquel and I still were not with Indivisible Grand Junction at this point, and we were like, well, I guess if nobody else is gonna do it, I guess we can do it. And we've learned a ton in the past 6 months since then. But in that process, we hooked up with Mary, who was the person who was running Indivisible Grand Junction. She started it in 2016, I believe, and she was having some family health needs that she
Hmm.
needed to be there to support, and she felt like she shared with us that she didn't feel like she could do the protests and organize the things and have the time that Indivisible Grand Junction needed
Right.
to really be what the community was asking for. And so that's how it all kind of happened. Raquel and I met Raquel. Raquel's somewhat new to the area. I met Raquel because she put a post on a Grand Junction message board post where she said that she wanted to meet people who were supportive of um, like labor unions
Hmm. Hmm.
and wanted to meet people that were like-minded, and she just got torn apart on that post. I mean, it was very just very low key, but she said, one or two key words that were just brought out all the haters.
A little edgy. Yeah, it's sad that talking about workers' rights and unions can seem to trigger some people, but it certainly can. It
But
certainly
it was a
can.
wonderful thing because that's how we met. That's how we stepped into Indivisible Grand Junction. And then it's just been growing and growing since then. And it's been really, really cool to see. We've met so many amazing community members. We've had so many opportunities to, um, sort of move the ideas that we believe in forward here in our
Hmm.
community. And it's been amazing.
Yeah, I know for one, just like the turnout at these events are huge, huge. I mean, I think the No Kings 2 was the largest protest I've been a part of. I heard it's about the most, or certainly up there in the historical sense for Grand Junction. So that's been amazing. Let's dive in a bit more into Indivisible and let's do a little bit of myth busting, I think is important
Mm.
because I hear all sorts of things about this. So are you best friends with George Soros? Is that correct?
Not yet, but I hope someday to be. No.
And you're not
You
getting
know,
a six-figure salary from Indivisible right now? That's not happening either?
I'm getting a $0 salary from
Ah.
Indivisible right now.
Okay, so what is this? What is like, how does this structure work? Since, I mean, it's such a national scene. People are curious on like the funding mechanism behind that, which is completely fair. I've been curious too. So
Yeah.
what does that look like on the local level for Grand Junction Indivisible?
So Indivisible National does support of the local indivisibles. They support us in a few ways. One of those ways is that they make Act Blue, which is our
Hmm.
fundraising structure. They make that available for our use. We have our own page that we can do fundraising through, and they pay for whatever the fees are that are associated with having an Act Blue account.
So like processing fees, it's usually a
Yeah.
few percent,
Yeah,
half a percentage
processing. And
point.
then they
Yeah.
also take care of the federal um, reporting requirements
Okay.
for us. So we're not incorporated. Indivisible Grand Junction isn't incorporated. We're not, we don't have a federal tax structure. They take care of that for us.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So that's, they do that for us. And then there are a couple other, like we have access to um, van, so some voter
Hmm.
data that we're able to access through them.
Hmm.
But they have not provided us with any monetary support here in Indivisible Grand Junction. Our donors are 100% local, mostly small donations. I think our average donation is like $35.
Yeah.
Some people are donating monthly, some people are one-time donors, but we really are just getting funding through our community.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, no, I mean that's more powerful always of when you have local buy-in, whether on boots on the ground or monetarily, it makes a big difference. So, last question on the national, because we were talking a little bit beforehand about, so they do when a local does ask for like or can apply for grants, is that correct? And is at least a way to support the overarching goals of the organization?
Yeah, so they will have certain projects, and I believe it's quarterly. They will have different projects that they would like for people to focus on. And right now, because of the government shutdown, because of the lack of availability to food funding, um, the projects that they have sort of handed down that they would like us to work on are mutual aid
Mhm.
projects. So there is a mutual aid budget. You can apply, you have to have a proposal about what your project that you would like to do is. Then they choose however many recipients they have, and then our local indivisible would be able to work on a mutual aid project. And I think that I don't want to say for sure, but it's either a $1,000 or $2,000 cap that
Hmm.
they have on that grant. So it's not a huge amount of money, but it would be a little bit to start a project if we had one in mind and the capacity to do that.
Right. Yeah. But that's great to hear that those opportunities do exist for local branches and that can support our community.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I think that's just really helpful. How can folks like get involved with Indivisible right now? I know you gave your story, but how does an average person that wants to make a difference that aligns with the goals around, workers' rights or, community health, how can they get engaged?
Yeah, thanks for asking that question. If you are local to the Grand Junction area, you can find our Facebook page at Indivisible Grand Junction and apply to join our Facebook page. It's a closed group, so you will have to answer the questions and We post pretty much all of our events, all of our activities in there. The second way is by going to our website, which is indivisiblegrandjunction.org. You can join us and sign up for our newsletters. That will give you every bit of information, every bit of things that we do, and you'll get that to your email. And then if you're outside of the Grand Junction area, you can go to indivisible.org and search for your local Indivisible. I don't remember how many there are, but I know there's like 2,500 nationwide. And every town, every city, there's a bunch in Colorado. You can find one close to you.
Awesome. Awesome. Is there a monetary, do you have to like contribute to become a member, or is it just you get to sign up and then you can go from there?
Yeah, there is no like monthly contribution or
Hmm.
anything like that. You just sign up, you get the information, and then you just start showing up to things. Some of our things that we do are trainings. So it'll be like know your rights trainings, or we have done de-escalation trainings,
Hmm.
online and media safety trainings, those kinds of things. So those are available to people if they would like to do that. Then we also have a once a month, we call it resistance and snacks at the library. That is the third Tuesday. And we get to know each other. We work on building community. One of the things that is one of our goals here in Grand Junction is to just really build community with each other, to know the people that are here that are trying to make these changes. And so we get together, we have a topic that we talk about, and then our um, peace team, which is one of our biggest needs for volunteers,
Mm.
they meet and do a little bit of training and organization. The peace team is the most important part of being able to do these protests and stuff. And we
Right.
always need more people. We're always looking for that because we want to keep our community safe. That is our number one goal.
Hmm. And I'll admit from No Kings 2, the peace team was very well structured and aware and encouraging of the people, but also making sure people were staying safe. So it's definitely worth it. And I always, whenever I try and join a march, whatever capacity I'm in, I think if you're new and interested, being on a peacekeeping team is always a great thing to do. But make sure you get that training first because I'm happy to hear Indivisible does that. That's really important.
Yeah, we have we're really fine tuning our structure here.
Hmm.
Michelle is an amazing leader of the peace team. And then we have some people who have stepped up and really shown themselves to be leaders who are doing trainings. We do in person trainings, we do online trainings. There's basically no barrier to getting in there. We just really want people to come and join us. We really want to meet our community, and we want people to feel, there's a lot of separation. And especially in a place like Mesa County, it can feel like if you're liberal leaning, or if you're wanting to talk about workers' rights and some of those things, it can feel really scary here.
Hmm.
And we want people to know that they're not alone. We want people to come in and tell us, like, what are you afraid of? And how can we help you feel better? How can we work together as a community to really support each other?
Yeah, and that's so important, and some part of the mission of Better Together is like let's all get our voices out there, and we're always welcome to have anyone come on the show. We might push back on, some of their decisions or, their opinions, but we want to make sure that they feel comfortable in sharing them. Um, because it's important to get it out there and
Yeah.
to see everyone that's in our community and reckon with that too as a
Yeah.
community.
I
So
agree.
a couple last points here while I have you. I'm kind of generally curious on the leadership structure. So for the national, is how has someone become a leader? Is there like a democratic process within it, or has it been just kind of since it's been established early on, the leaders from the beginning are still in play? Like, I always like to kind of hear a bit about that within an organization as well.
So Leah and Ezra are the two individuals who started it. They worked for the Obama administration. And when Trump became president the first time and they started to see, okay, kind of these are the things that we're seeing, they wanted to figure out how they could still make a difference
Hmm.
politically. And they started it. I don't know what the structure is. I haven't dug into that because I feel like I've been so
Yeah, work
busy
here. Yeah.
with all the work that we're doing here. Um, but so I don't know the answer to that question. But I do know that it has been the same leadership team since they started. They do have paid employees of
Hmm.
some sort that they pay for, paid like office support
Right.
and people who do work there. So I'm sure that there is a structure to getting in and supporting there, but I don't know what it is.
Sure. No, I'm just curious on
Yeah,
that front.
yeah. And
The
then as far as locally,
Mhm.
um, it's been like we take anybody who wants to start joining us. There's a graphic that we sort of have in mind when we're thinking about leadership things, and it's a ladder, like a step ladder of like these are the people that like they want to know what's going in our community. They might come once a month, or they might come once to a protest, or they
Right.
might just receive an email and read it, who knows, but
Mhm.
like just a very like basic level of being active, and those people are really important. That's like our base, right?
Yep.
And then the next step up is people who are going to come once a month, or they're going to bring some cookies to our resistance and snacks, or whatever it is. And then it just sort of increases from there, and we don't turn anybody away. Anyone who wants to come and help, anyone who wants to volunteer their time like we're volunteering our time, come on in. We
Yeah.
would love to see you.
Sweet. Sweet. The last big question, and then we'll close it out. So when this was really kicked off early in the Trump administration, Trump won back in 2016, and you talked about some of the leaders that were engaged both nationally and locally. What happened with Indivisible in 2020? We had a change of administration. Obviously, Biden won. He did put forward some progressive goals for sure, I would say. Some were stymied as well. And, we have our fair share of criticism for the Biden administration here, especially on foreign policy.
Same.
But what would you say? Why did Indivisible seem to would you agree that Indivisible stepped back during the Biden administration? And do you think that there could have been more work done to uplift its messaging around workers' rights and, a better future for our communities?
I think that that's a really good question. And that's a question that I've asked as well.
Mhm.
And when I have asked that question of people, because I wasn't involved at
Right.
that time, my understanding is that um, the people's engagement,
Hmm.
so just, community members here in Grand Junction, and then also engagement at the national level dropped off.
Hmm.
And so they've been active this
Hmm.
entire time. But I think that you can only be as active as the power that you build. You only have as much influence as the power you build. And so while they were working on things, and they have like annual goals, and they have trackers and stuff from every year. So they were working on things, but it's really the people on the ground. It's our community. It's every community across the country. It's everyone's voices working together that really affect change.
Right.
So if
Awesome.
those voices aren't there, if they're like, okay, well, Biden's in charge now and everything's going to be
Right.
okay, there's not a lot of power behind that.
That's a great point. So then, are you intending to stick with this? Are you intending to, and it doesn't have to be just individual, but you yourself, like, have you seen this and is it to the point where you're like, building power for this long term versus just one presidential term?
I think that depends on the people.
Hmm.
Um, that's the goal
Hmm.
for sure. I think I have questions about where the Democrat Party is going to go.
Hmm.
Um, and so to me, having an organization like Indivisible that is pushing the Democrats in the way that we want to see them go is really, really valuable.
Right.
And I think keeping that pressure on our local and up to the nationwide elected officials to really work toward those goals is important, and it needs to stay important for people.
Mhm. Definitely. Definitely. Well, Mallory, thank you so much. Go ahead and just plug one more time how folks can get involved in Indivisible, and then we'll let you go because I know you got a full day ahead of you, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Here in Grand Junction, it is indivisiblegrandjunction.org, or you can go to the nationwide Indivisible, indivisible.org, and you just there's a join button if you're here in Indivisible Grand Junction, or if it's the national, you can search your local organization. Pretty much every city in every state has one, or at least within a few hours of you. So go ahead and go on there and check it out. And also our Facebook page for Indivisible Grand Junction. You can also, I'm pretty searchable, pretty findable. You can send me an email, Mallory at indivisiblegrandjunction.org if you have any questions.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, Mallory. Thank you for joining Better Together today. And I'm sure we'll be in touch and
Awesome.
following you along. So thank you again.
Thank you, Nick. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye. Okay, everyone. That was Mallory Martin joining us today from Indivisible. One thing that will continue to uplift is just how important collective action is. And we want to hear from anyone that is involved with any type of collective action to hear their process, hear their goals, sometimes push back, and well, hopefully push back. We want to hear their thoughts being challenged. That's what's so important here. And I think Mallory did a good job of articulating both the positives and the critiques. Because one saying we have here at Better Together, if you agree with someone 100%, one of you is lying, and we don't want to lie to anybody here. So thank you for joining us today on our episode. We have more coming up, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Special thank you to our Patreon members. We are 100% community funded, and your support goes a long way. You can become a member at patreon.com/bettertogether, and we have several options and perks, so check it out.